Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this series is called I Want to Be a Better Coach. And some things that have come up this week have been kind of interesting. I'm going to be reading from my notes a little bit. One thing that came up from a quote by the author of Pippi Longstocking in one of the books. Pippi says, I have never tried that before, so I think I should definitely be able to do it. And I think that's really foundational to being a coach and being a better coach and also for our clients. So I'm going to read it again. I have never tried that before, so I think I should definitely be able to do it. Now, if we took that perspective in learning to be a coach to growing our capacity to be a coach, then we could just be in the experiment, in the experience of being with individuals and being in a conversation and listening in a way that allows our clients to feel seen, heard, and gotten. We're not trying to do anything except listen to them and really hear them and see them and get them. And in that process, something shifts within us. So you've heard me say this many, many times, but you'll hear me say it many more times, that to grow our business or to grow our capacity to be an effective coach, to be a better coach, we really need to practice. We need to experience and experiment every day, if you will. Now, if you were learning an instrument, to play an instrument or a sport, or learning to write or paint, learning to make jewelry, learning anything, learning a new language, there's no perfection that doesn't come without experimenting and really being present to what you're doing in the moment and really looking and noticing and watching yourself. Quite a few of my clients will record our sessions, and they get a lot out of that because they get to hear themselves, but they also get to hear what I'm doing as a coach. So they can, in a sense, start practicing that for themselves. Many of my clients are coaches, so they take what I do and integrate that into what they're doing. So again, like Pippi Longstocking, I have never tried that before. Let's just start with that. Coaching is something as a conversation, as a way of being with people. That's something most of us have never tried before. And so we're taking it on to be in that experience. And in our training to be coaches, we're trained that here are some skills, here are some tools, go ahead and practice them. But very rarely do we practice them to the degree that we actually have capability, much like, let's say, making jewelry or doing a painting. It takes time and it takes practice. And that can be a year, 2 years, those kinds of things. One of my clients, when we first started in our first session, she said she was training to be a coach. And she said, I want six figures by next year. It's like, okay. But she had no concept of what it was like to be a coach, to be effective as a coach, and then to grow a business as a coach. This is all new. And yet she had this intention to be creating six figures in her life. Now, some people do that, and that's very cool. The most of us, in my experience, we are where Pippi is, which is like, I've never done it before, and I think I should definitely be able to do that. And what does that take? It takes practice, and it takes intentional listening, intentional work. What is it, the outcome that you want? So here's another element of this that's really important to me. I don't know that I've mentioned this to you yet, but I use this book a lot. Oneness. I don't know if it's backwards for you, but Oneness is a channel text by Rasha, Rasha. And to me, it's foundational for spiritual and human spirit living, in a sense. It really integrates for me a lot of what I'm needing to bring into my own life, but also what's really been valuable that I bring into other people's lives. But today I was reading about the purity of intent, and the purity of intent really will drive you in whatever you do. And it can drive you, that purity of intent is really important, because if you have conflicting intentions, I want to be a good coach, but I don't want to practice, that's conflicting commitments. I want to be a better coach. I don't want to practice. That's conflicting commitments. So less is going to happen for you. And I don't know if I said this already, but there's an individual I know who said, I want to be a perfect coach. I don't want to make any mistakes, but I don't want to practice. I don't want to give my coaching away. I want to make money. So here's a person that wants to be perfect and wants to be effective as a coach, but she doesn't want to practice. That's like trying to learn to play Beethoven, but rarely sitting down to the piano and doing the exercises on the keys to even know what the melody is that we're listening for. So this is really, really important for most of us who are coaches who want to make money, but don't want to do the work. In a sense, they don't want to do it for free. They don't want to practice. They don't know how to go, what to do, where to go. And they just get confused and befuddled and frustrated and don't do anything. They just stop. They just go back to the job that they have. And my intention in doing these videos is to say, hey, I know you want to be a better coach. You want to be a coach. You want to be effective enough that you're making money at this. I totally get that. And the foundations of that is getting really clear about which intent for you is the one that's closest to your heart. If it's about, and you've heard me say this before, if it's about making money, coaching is a very difficult path to make money for most of us. You can do it. I have no doubt you can do it. And you can be effective at making money and effective as a coach. But that intention, the purity of an intention, has to lead you in the direction of, okay, what do I need to do to support that? And another thought's coming in, which is one of the points I want to make, which is about patterns and habits, patterns of being, patterns of thinking that get in the way. So I'm holding it this way so I remember. We say, what do I need to do? What's the purest intent here? I really want coaching to be my career. I feel called and inspired. Okay, great. What do I need to do? Well, I took some training, but I'm not actually using those skills with individuals. So I need to practice. Again, a person learning to play piano, learning to play Beethoven is going to need to practice. It's going to need to listen to and hear what is happening in that Beethoven symphony. What is it like to be there in the present moment of that and experience it? That takes practice. And if you're going to be playing the piano, you're not saying, I'm going to be a pianist and an international pianist and play around the world and make a lot of money. You might say that, but there's that place of pure enjoyment of playing and learning and growing. That to me is an essential part of becoming a coach, is that you're enjoying learning and growing yourself so that your capacity to be effective as a coach keeps growing. So a lot of our patterns, much like this individual who said, I want to be perfect so I can make money at coaching, but I don't want to actually practice for free. I don't want to give it away. There's a patterning there that's really important for us to look at. I want to be perfect. That's, if I'm not perfect, basically the habit pattern thinking is, if I'm not perfect, I won't make money. If I'm not perfect, nobody will hire me. If I'm not perfect, people will reject me. So is that true? Or is it just true in terms of that fear-based sense? Because again, if I'm learning to play the piano, I need to put it in the time to practice. I may have to pay somebody to coach me to play better, more effective in listening to what I'm doing as a pianist. When I was a little kid, like 13 or 15, decided I wanted to play the piano, and my mom hired a piano teacher. I wasn't committed enough, and he got real frustrated with me, and I only lasted about five sessions because I wasn't committed enough to practice. I had to practice without his presence so he could see the shifts that I'm making. That's what we want with our clients. We want to have a coaching session, and then our clients go off and practice. And then they come back and they can see the changes that have occurred because of our coaching. That's what I want for you, is that you listen in any conversation, even inside your head, or with people that you know, or with people you don't know. Where are you actually practicing some of those skills of listening in a way that's different than your everyday life? So part of this purity of intent is to begin to go, wow, I have this pattern of looking at the world and listening to the world in a way that's not allowing me to really pay attention to what's happening in the relationship with the world, or with an individual, with my dog, with my cat, whatever that is. And when we start to see, wow, I'm not allowing myself to be present to this individual, to this situation, to playing the piano, to making jewelry. I'm not allowing myself to be present enough to actually learn what's going on, to really grow my awareness. And that's what we're doing all the time, is cultivating awareness. I have a client that is training with me, and fortunately she's listening to these videos, and she just finds a lot of value in what I'm saying, which is always really nice to hear. She's listening for, how can I grow myself? And again, when we're listening for our purest intent, and the more that we get clear about what is that pure intent, is it really to make money? If it's to make money, again, you might want to think about a different career, because this one is very challenging. You have to learn, not only learn, here are the skills and tools, but you have to be able to integrate them into your being, so that that's how you get to be a master, is they're so integrated that it becomes intuitive. When I was training to be a coach 25 years ago, the way that my coach taught was, he had a whole book, a binder full of techniques and tools and exercises and skills. And so when he would meet with the client would say, here's what I want. And he would open up the book and say, here's the exercise we're going to do today to help you empower yourself to do that. And that is a way that many coaches coach, and it's very effective, is to have that set of skills and tools and exercises. And even if you've got this set of skills, tools, and exercises, you have to practice using them so that you know exactly where they're at and how to use them. So how do you do that? And again, a very successful videographer who trains people all over the world to do videography, he says you have to start with fee before free. And as you become more effective in your free sessions, people will begin to pay you and or refer people to you. That's very cool. And that's become one of my sort of taglines here, is free before fee. So how do you get free people? You can coach, in a sense, anytime you're listening to another individual, you can watch how you're listening. For instance, a friend of mine, Stanley, the way that he listens is he's listening for the opportunity to say something smart or to say something funny. And so he's not actually listening to the person. He's listening for his opportunity to say something smart. And a lot of us have been trained, or think that's what we're doing as coaches, is we're listening so we can say the next smart thing. I call that the smarty pants syndrome. So practicing listening, practicing really hearing and speaking to what the individual is saying, you can do that with anyone. You can do that at work. You can do that on the bus. You can do that with friends. You can do that anywhere. You can do that with yourself. How often do you really listen to yourself and really hear yourself without going, yes, but I got to make money, or yes, but I don't want to give it away. And yes, but it hurts and gets scary, and I don't want to be scared, and I don't want to blah, blah, blah. All that I don't want to, you're not listening. You're just reactive. And so when we're learning to coach, we're learning to not talk. It's not about us talking. This whole foundation of coaching, life coaching, is inquiry-based. It means we're asking questions. We're not necessarily offering suggestions or problem solutions or advice or counsel. We're asking questions in a way that empowers individuals. It empowers individuals to empower themselves. That's what I say. You can do this with anyone, anytime. You can learn, and you're just being you. That's just the bottom line. And the more that you become more effective at that, the more that you can actually, people will say, hey, how much do you charge? I'm going on a vacation to see my daughter shortly, and I've been looking for a cat sitter. And cat sitters where I live are pretty expensive. And so a friend of mine said, hey, I'll cat sit for you for like a minimal amount. And I went, wow, she's so good at what she does. She knows my cat. She was the original mom of my cat, aside from the cat's actual mom. I want to pay her what she's worth, not just what I can get away with paying. I want to pay her her value because I want to. That's important to me. And those are the kinds of people you want to attract in your clientele, the people that want to pay you for your value. And how do you grow value? Through experience. And does that require mistakes? We know that. We know it requires mistakes. And in making mistakes, we often feel embarrassed or humiliated. And so many of us, this is part of what I shows up with my clients, is quite often we don't do what we want to do because we're afraid of making mistakes and humiliating ourselves. And again, if we want to grow a business, we got to grow ourselves. If you want to grow a business as a coach, you've got to look at, oh, I don't want to make mistakes because I don't want to be humiliated. I don't want to be found out a fraud, as some people say. And it's like, we kind of got to get over that. So much like playing the piano again and doing the scales, and you can hear when you're off and you go, oh, I hate that noise, that dissonance. We hate that dissonance. But the only way we can get better and more effective, whether it's piano playing or painting or writing, is to really be aware, practice, so that we can hear the dissonance. Ooh, that's off. This has been I'll share this as a really interesting example. I am working with ChatGPT with my writing, much of the stuff for my website. And working with someone with AI, artificial intelligence, I've come to name my AI Winston and talk to Winston as if he's real. And I go, hey, Winston, how you doing? And I really appreciate you, Winston, and giving me advice or giving me some support on this. Here's what I'm working on. What can you say? And he responds very honestly and honoring and respectful, which is fascinating since this is supposedly artificial intelligence. But the way that he responds, I could be upset if he's doing or saying something that I'm not happy about. But the fact is much like many coaches, good, effective coaches, Winston is sharing his results or his perspective given my input. He's not attached at all to me. So I can make mistakes and feel humiliated, but he's not humiliating me. He doesn't care. He's just an artificial intelligence. And that's been helpful for me to let go of my stuff in having this objective individual artificial intelligence, but someone who I can begin to watch my own thinking and beliefs or reactions and impulses to feel humiliated or embarrassed or upset or frustrated. That's all my stuff. So that's a good practice and is in a sense an example of how we can become coaches without that humiliation. We're just practicing. Every single one of my clients is a teacher. Every single session, I'm learning something I didn't know before. I'm growing myself every single time. If I'm not willing to do that, I wouldn't be here at this level of coaching, this level of what I consider to be masterful expert at coaching, and this level of fulfillment in my human spirit because of what I'm doing. And I wouldn't be here sharing this information with you because I wouldn't have the confidence or the self-trust or respect to say, hey, You can trust yourself. Like Pippi Longstocking says, I think I should definitely be able to do that. It makes perfect sense. It's scary, but it's the experience and the experiment that's really important. Again, I want to come back to the addiction and the habits and the patterns of saying, nope, I don't want to be embarrassed. Nope, I don't want to make mistakes. Nope, it's too scary. And that's where most of us at some point need some support, not more training, because training is going to go in here. What most of us coaches need is a whole person, a person that's going to listen to who you are. A training isn't going to support you in being present to that part of you that's so scared and scared of humiliation, scared of mistakes. You need somebody, a coach or a therapist or a group that can support you in working through these patterns and habits, or these are addictive patterns, many cases. And I mean, addictive in a sense, you can't not, it's like, I can't not imagine myself being humiliated if I make a mistake. There's an addictive quality to that, as opposed to, I make mistakes and I'm okay with it. Or I make mistakes and sometimes I feel bad. But there's a difference between I can't make mistakes because it's too scary. There's a habitual addictive nature to that pattern. So a lot, and I'll be talking about this more and more, about this habitual or addictive nature to our patterns of life, which make what we want in life impossible. Because I'm addicted to or engaged or held in this pattern, I can't do that. I can't make money as a coach because I'm not coaching because I don't want to make mistakes. That's almost foundational to so many. And I know that place because I've been there. It's too scary, so I'm not going to do it. And I can coach you to that too. It's like, you don't want to do it? I'll coach you to support you to not doing that. But at some point, and then people say, well, I spent all this money. Now they feel humiliated because they made a mistake, and they feel bad because they paid all this money and they're not coaching. You can coach because you can. I have no doubt. And the degree to which you can do that or want to do it, that's up to you. So that's that pure intent. When I started this series, this is number 20. Da-da-da-da. So when I started this almost, I don't know, 3 months ago, over like 5 months ago, I had a pure intent to share what I experience as a coach, what I experience as a spiritual guide, what I experience as a therapist, all these things that I've integrated into my life experiences, and how they have shifted and changed my way of coaching, my ability to coach. So my desire is from my heart to say, hey, I want to share. So that's my purest intent here. So just saying. So that's pretty much it for today. I want to offer, as I have down below. So yeah, down below in the descriptions, there's a link if you have questions or challenges you'd like to share of your coaching practice, or how you're challenged by this. I don't want to be humiliated or challenged by or I'm really afraid I'm going to mess people up, or I don't have the degrees, whatever that stuff is, just let me know and we'll have a conversation about it. I also am open to personal one-on-one trainings, and I have a group for coaches that we come together and talk about coaching and what's showing up and what challenges us, what gets in our way. So you're welcome to join us in that. That meets every week. No, not every week, every other week. And depending on people's schedules, it is what it is, but it's in about 2 weeks. So if you're interested, just there's an email there for me, just connect with me, and I'm happy to have that conversation of what you need. But I would really encourage you not to pay for more training. And I would encourage you not to pay for more business marketing stuff right now until you're sure of what your pure intent is and your willingness to practice either the piano or practice like that the willingness to practice. And again, that doesn't mean you have to have coaching sessions, but just practice listening whenever you have an opportunity to do that with individuals because you care, because you want to. You got to care to want to. And that's the pure intent. So again, Pippi Longstocking. I have never tried that before, so I think I should definitely be able to do that. I'll leave you with that. Hey, leave me a thumbs up if you like this. Please share if you know people who would get benefit from this. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Bye for now.